Wizard. Hi, I'm Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood, and today I'm doing another video, which probably has been covered in some of the other videos, but we had a subscriber that asked us how just specifically do a video on cleaning and maintaining wood, not stripping wood. And we just did that video, and it led us to down the road to, hey, let's just talk about one with just stripping wood and the different types of strippers that are out there and what you need today to be successful in this. Now, we've done this on the Deck and Wood Stain page, our Deck Restoration Plus Deck and Wood Stain page, talking about specific products. But today I want to talk to you about the different strippers that are out there and what you need to be successful. So a little bit of history lesson first. First, prior to 2019, almost all of our coatings were oil-based. There was water-based out there, but the most popular ones were oil-based. And today, a lot of people still try to use a lot of oils. However, with environmental issues and some of the new technology, water bases are really taking off. For us, we actually have a penetrating water-based stain. So despite all the nonsense out there, it's actually a penetrating water base. It's not all film formers are all water-based are film formers, so they sit on the surface and they're hard to strip and hard to remove. That's nonsense. That's old school stuff, and people that say that just aren't, they're not advancing their knowledge with the way technology and the industry has changed over the years. Now, those same people still don't understand oil-based either, because guess what? Oil-based all along have always been either penetrating or film forming. Not all oils are penetrating, although you would have a lot of people make you believe that, and some people do believe that. We all found out that linseed oil over the years is a problem because it dries closer to the surface, more of a film forming type oil. So as we get through this, we've already talked about penetrating products and film forming products. So we're talking about two products that are different right away. So how's a stripper going to work on that? Well, it's going to work differently on the film formers than it does on the penetrating ones. The penetrating ones takes off pretty easily. Film formers, a little bit harder to get off. But being an oil, sodium hydroxide was the go-to. Then what happens over the years, especially after 2009 and federal regulations changed with VOC compliance, there was a lot of changes in the industry, a lot of different types of coatings, hybrids. We have emulsification products where the oil is in a water-based cell. You know, you think it says oil-resistant formula or something on the can. You turn around, it says clean with warm soapy water, hybrid type kind of a product. Then we have other water-based. And the water bases, like I mentioned already, about penetrating and film forming types. So we have all these different kinds. Then we all have heard of the tougher ones with the texture. Behr Decover happens to be one of them. Rust-Oleum has a product. Valspar, they all have products that are like that. And these products have ceramic microspheres in them. They're a little harder to get off. It's new technology again. The hard part about that is they are really, it's a solid type product, but the wood's always moving. And on a horizontal surface, it might pop it. When it pops it, sometimes it'll come off in sheets. In other areas, it doesn't want to come off at all. So there have been a lot of problems with those type of products over the years. So the point is, how do we get those off? Well, guess what? Sodium hydroxide is not going to take it off. But there's people out there trying to make sodium hydroxide too strong, heavy chemicals, getting hurt, getting injured, not being effective. Say I can get it to the customer, it doesn't come off, the customer can't get a hold of them, what are we to do? There's all kinds of issues out there. Some of you watching this video can relate to some of the things I've just said. The issue becomes, what do we do moving forward as an industry to fix all of this? Well, first of all, let's talk about those oil bases and some of the hybrids and the ones that are out there. The first thing we have to do is, besides sodium hydroxide, we don't talk about potassium hydroxide. Potassium hydroxide should be in your stripper. If you were to use one over the other, potassium hydroxide is more effective than sodium hydroxide. It breaks down the smaller molecules a lot better. So potassium hydroxide, because it's more expensive, people are trying to sell whatever price point, they're trying to sell sodium hydroxide because it's cheaper, people buy it, but it doesn't work with today's coatings, then that doesn't work. So we have to have something with maybe both in there, sodium hydroxide, potassium hydroxide. We might have butyl in it as well. Butyl's an additive that's used in strippers, but the strippers basically are, the point being of this is they're not just sodium hydroxide anymore, and the ones that are just not effective on today's coatings. I don't care what other people are selling, I don't care what other people say. The Wizard of Wood is telling you that if you're buying just a plain sodium hydroxide based stripper, you are going to run into issues. It will not take all of the coatings that you run into out there off. It may take, if you're a homeowner watching this, it may take yours off. If you're a company doing this, you're going to run into water bases and solids and semi-transparents and semi-solids. And sodium hydroxide is not going to be your answer to everything. So you need to expand your knowledge and your horizons and start learning about some of these other strippers, about the other chemicals that are used, like again, potassium hydroxide or butyl. And you can boost with that. Now, let's start talking about some of the other ones. What do we do about solid stains? What do we do about things like polyurethanes that we run into? They're on front doors, garage doors. How are we going to get these things off? How about paver sealers that are on pavers? They're all the same type of, same type of products. How are we getting those off? Well, you know what? Get rid of the sodium hydroxide idea. How are we going to take these coatings off? Well, one of the things you have to do is start talking about some of the other chemicals and products that are out there. And one of the things we start to get away from is the sodium hydroxide, plain sodium hydroxide based products. And let's just go to a different technology altogether. So at Deck Restoration Plus, what we've come up with is a product using benzyl alcohol. It gets away from the traditional chemicals that we've been using, and benzyl alcohol is much more environmentally friendly. It doesn't have to be brightened on the wood. It's just a better product. And we put that on there with a longer dwell time and just let it work, and it will lift everything off. Again, we have other videos on this channel and on our Deck Restoration Plus deck and wood stain page using the benzyl alcohol product. For us, it's DRP Stripper Plus. And this is effective at removing those solid coatings and those harder to get off coatings and those deck over products. Is it going to get 100% of it off? Let's be real. If we have to look at the wood down here, we see the gaps in between the boards. You can't get everything down inside of it necessarily, but for the most part, we do get it all off, okay? And we may get it all off, but there may be some residual, and you tell the customer that. However, we can get everything off the surface. The surface is the issue. We have a solid stain, we have a deck over or a deck over type product on the surface. Then what happens is they're harder to remove. So we don't want that future peeling. We need to get this off, fix it. If we have to, a light sanding, and then we can recoat with either a natural or a transparent type or semi-transparent that we don't have the issues with. But we can fix these. And right now, a lot of people are doing just this. They have a peeling product, they strip off what they can and just paint over it or put a solid stain back over it. But they're just going over it. Well, guess what? The rule of thumb in the industry is don't put a good coat on a bad coat. But people are doing that because they just want to get a check, get it done, get it over with. So then it lasts a year or two, and then people are like, oh, now what do I do? They can't get anybody to work on the deck. They try to sand the whole deck themselves. It takes them days, weeks. They use the wrong grit. They don't realize they don't know how to sand it off or how to remove it. Or guess what else? They just rip it off and they put down either new wood or Trex or another composite type of product on the deck. So if you're going to be stripping coatings off in today's market, don't be frustrated. Don't use just plain sodium hydroxide based strippers because they're just not as effective, and they're kind of like a dinosaur product at this time. If you haven't heard me say that before in another video, I'm saying it again now. Today's products are more than sodium hydroxide. And then for the other products, you need benzyl alcohol. Today, you really need two types of strippers because we have two different types of coatings. We have the penetrating products that could be water-based or oil-based or hybrid. Then we have film formers that are solid that people have started actually adding urethane content to or created those deck over type products that are just hard to remove. You need two different types of strippers to work in this business today to restore wood like we used to prior to 2009. I'm Everett Abrams, the Wizard of Wood, hoping that I have gotten this through to you, that the environment's changed, the products have changed, and we need to change along with that. Our old way of thinking is just not the way, it doesn't work. So If you have any questions or you want to know more about this topic, please feel free to answer in the comments, or feel free to call us at our office. We'll be happy to talk to you. Our toll-free number, by the way, is 866-440-3325. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Thank you for watching the video.